Good evening, gamers, and welcome to episode 26 of Games with Dave. Tonight, we continue our monster run of ZineQuest interviews with Justin Vandermeer from Shout Games, or is it Shout Studios? I should have asked you that.
It is Shouting Crow Games.
Shout and Crow Games. Oh, geez, I really screwed. Justin has penned a very cool solo whodunit game, Ailing Away, which has 8 days left, I believe, to go on Crowdfunder.
I think it's 7.
I am screwing everything up here tonight. But you should head over. I've got a description down below, or a link in the description down below for the crowdfunder. And thank you so much for joining me tonight, Justin.
I am really, really happy to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I'm going to try not to screw up anything else about your project tonight.
That's okay. That's literally what I'm here for, to set the record straight.
So I want to start out with, I guess you'd say a couple icebreaker questions, for lack of a better term. How long have you been playing role-playing games, and what are some of your favorites to play?
I started with the red box, D&D, second D, the D&D advanced.
Nice.
I was just a little ragamuffin sitting on my dad's knee. And he'd let me roll the dice, and he'd sort of lead me on this sort of I'd say probably not true to form, but pretty adapted version for us and my 3 siblings at the kitchen table. The old fighting fantasy books, there was a really cool one about 2 gladiators, and my dad used to run us through there. And the kid who won the gladiator pit would become his favorite kid for the day and all that. We'd get to go to the grocery store with him. It was really cool. And I always really, really, really loved that. And I've made a habit of continuing the trend of any game that I can play with kids is a game that I'm going to bring wherever I go. So things like Monster of the Week and stuff like that, things that the rules are sometimes right there on the character sheet, so you can see them straight up front, easy to get into, because I hate showing up on a Friday night for a D&D game and the cleric doesn't show up, so you can't play.
Yeah,
Well, I'm the guy who's brought the game we are going to play tonight. You know what I mean?
that's awesome. Um, so without giving away too much, can you give a synopsis of Ailing Away?
Oh, of course. So, as you mentioned, it's a solo whodunit game. The idea is that the year is 1905. You are an amateur detective. You read a lot of those mystery novels that are so popular in that era. Uh, and you are consumptive. You have tuberculosis. Uh, your father, concerned for your family prospects, sends you away to a lovely little spa hotel in Venice to sort of convalesce. It was the style at the time, after all, if you've ever picked up a book like Death in Venice or something like that. Um, Unfortunately, the day you arrive, you discover that there's a good reason that there was actually an opening on the schedule for you. It's because there's been a murder. Being who you are, you decide you're going to figure out who did it. But there's no physical evidence. There seems to have been an elaborate cover up. But of course, there are 7 suspects in the building. So you decide to use the only thing you have, which are your wiles and your graces and your charms, to convince these people to tell you everything they know. So yeah, there are 8 suspects. At the beginning of the game, one of them dies entirely random, so you can play this game a couple times and have different results every time. There are, I think, 48 clues to discover.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah,
lot of
mapping that out was a
clues.
total nightmare. Yeah, having 8 possible deaths is kind of complicated, but we did it anyways. Yeah, the whole idea is that you've got, you know, your health, of course, you do after all have tuberculosis, and your reputation. And every time you question a suspect, you put these things at risk. Um, you put yourself on the line one way or another. So the idea is you have to get the relevant clues to your case before you either die of tuberculosis or get sent home in shame.
Oh
And
boy.
if you're lucky, you'll kiss a couple people on the way.
That actually brings me to another question I had. Um, well, not really a question, more of a statement. I remember seeing a line on the crowdfunder page that said it's like Clue, but with kissing, which
Yes.
I thought I laughed so hard when I saw that line. I'm like, this is great. And it really does sound like Clue with there being 8 suspects.
Yes. So the like main difference is Clue is very room oriented, and my room oriented game is actually the mini game that goes on the side that I'm going to launch a teaser for in a couple days. Um, but the Ailing Away game itself is more character oriented than room oriented. But yeah, 8 suspects. Each suit of cards represents a different brother sister pair.
Gotcha.
Um, so you've got a lot of different options potentially.
And aside from the cards, I also saw that you're utilizing 2d10 in the game. How do the cards and dice work as a mechanic?
Absolutely. So event generation runs off of the cards. So every time you are looking for a new clue, a new challenge, basically, you draw one of the cards and pull it up, and the card will lead you in the booklet to an event that is possible. Basically, a character interaction where if you pass it successfully, they will give you the information that you want. However, you must use your D10s and your stats, your health or your reputation,
Yep.
to try to roll above the card level. Each card has a different value that'll be posted on the event page that'll sort of guide you through, okay, like how do I navigate this particular situation, and is it challenging a specific one of my stats, or do I get to pick? And uh, you also have treatments, these crazy little treatments that you can go through, because it's 1905 and we haven't actually figured out a cure for tuberculosis yet. But we will tell you we know the cure, and we will charge you for the cure. Um, so some of these treatments will help you. Some of these treatments will actually make you sicker. Historically, there were some pretty nasty ones. Uh, Pro tip: don't drink mercury.
uh,
But the idea is that your relationships with different characters and these treatments are going to adjust your stats one way or the other. Whether positive or negative is entirely up to you. Well, up to what your playthrough has looked like thus far, I suppose. And the idea is you want to roll with the dice above the number that is presented by the card value.
Gotcha. That sounds really cool. And it sounds like the replayability value in this game is pretty high. Like you go through it multiple times without ever repeat a
Yeah,
situation.
unless you're really good at memorizing clues.
I am not.
I mean, there are 48 of them spread between 8 characters. I'm pretty sure people are going to be able to replay it a couple of times. Um,
That's that's fantastic. Um, what can you tell me about the 8? Well, you said there's 7 other guests. You're the 8th, correct?
yes, because one of them dies when you show up.
What can you tell me about the other 8 other guests before
Oh,
one of them
sure.
dies?
Let's talk about hearts. I've actually posted some art on the Ailing Away page for Sabina O'Quirk. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. My Gaelic is very bad. Uh, Sabina is one of the Hart siblings. She is a columnist and journalist. If anyone's worth knowing, she knows them. She is the person to come to for all the good gossip. She can be your best friend or your worst nightmare, basically. Her brother, on the other hand, is named Connor, and Connor is my personal favorite character in the game because I like big, strong boys. He's a boxer. Um, and their relationship is a little bit strained. Next in the list are the Spades, the Spath family. They're German. Johann and Elizabeth. Johann is actually one of the doctors at the facility, and Elizabeth is one of the nurses. They're a little bit on the prim and proper and serious side, but if you get to know them, they'll warm right up to you. Next up are the Diamonds, the Diamante family. They're French. They are Henri and Charlotte. They are a musician and fashion designer. And they're kind of the life of the party in the building. You might be getting the impression that everybody in this facility is kind of a celebrity, and that's true. It's such an exclusive place. This is sort of so the hotel itself, by the way, is called the Hotel Illusion, and it's sort of the place that like all the big celebrities go to sort of convalesce in peace away from the public eye, so that nobody knows that they're sick. And the last two are the Spades, the Mazza family. They're the actual Italians of the building. It's set in Venice. I had to give them, there had to be some Italians here. That's Piero, who is a sculptor, very much the sensual type. And Isabella, who is an inventor, because you got to have a girl with a big wrench.
That's awesome.
You have to.
I love the naming of all the families, how they kind of tie into the suit. And I love how you have everything. I would not remember all 8 of them for the life of me, even if I had designed this, because it tells me how much passion you have for this project. The way that you're able, like even the way you talk about them, it you can feel the passion that you have for your project. Love that.
Thank you. You write enough prompts for a character, they really start to show on the page,
Yeah. Yep, they do. This is what I warned you about, the brain fart that I was going to have tonight. What can you tell me about the various tiers that are still open on Crowdfunder?
Yeah, because one of them just shut down. You can't get the love letter tier anymore. I'm sorry, everybody. It starts at the basic level. Dave, you're American, right?
Yes.
Okay, because the prices on my Crowdfunder page are in Canadian dollars.
I realized that when I backed it, I was like, oh, nice. It's even more affordable than I thought.
Yeah. So, yeah, listen, if you don't back the Crowdfunder, I'll probably have copies available. I know Ratty and Canty is going to carry it, but it won't be as cheap. Let me tell you that. So in American dollars, I think I've worked out the values for you, and I'm going to sputter the prices out as best as I can. There is the Telegram tier, which is just your digital level. All of the, extra stuff that comes with the game, the detectives journal and stuff still comes in PDF format, so don't worry. The mini game still comes in PDF format. Everybody will have access to it. But the Telegram tier is $6, and it is strictly digital. Mail for you actually get a package in the mail. I don't know about you, but I love mail. That one I think is $15 US. I'm pretty sure, because I think it's 18 or so Canadian. That one is if you just want the rule book, that's like, everything you need to play in a book, delivered to your door, plus access to everything else, the detective's journal and everything like that, the mini game, digitally. So you get all the PDF content and a physical copy of the book for mail for you. Next up is the fancy stationery tier. My apologies. That's about $22 US. That is, I think, the sweet spot for the campaign, because that one is, you get the book, you get the detective's journal that goes with it. And to be clear, the detective journal is not just like a notebook to write in. It's functionally your way complex character sheet that goes with the game, because you have to have a place to keep all the clues sort of set. So there's like spreadsheets, very much like a clue book, and everything else. Plus, we have hit the tier where we get to expand the fancy stationery. We have hit the stretch goal where we get to expand, the detective's journal. So the detective's journal is going to have more information about the setting. It's going to tell you more about the history that's going on. I'm hoping it'll really flesh out sort of the period for people. We're going to put a map of the hotel in it. We're going to sort of include extra information on popular treatments at the time and things like that. So it's not just like a journal that you can write in, it's going to be sort of an expansion for the game. And if you get the fancy stationery tier, you get the detective's journal, the rule book, everything physically, plus everything digitally on top of that.
Awesome. I like the different tiers, how you get the either a little taste or everything you could want. So
yeah.
Another one of the stretch goals where you mentioned those, it really stood out to me. Costumed video. And I think that was at 2,500.
2,500 Canadian dollars. I think while we're recording this, we're at like 2,312. So we're less than $200 away from this. I used to make historical costumes, and 1905 is like Edwardian era. And I would love nothing more than to get dressed up in a ridiculous little costume and record a video for everybody where I'm playing through the mini game. I was planning on doing this with like, a little piano tinkling and do it silent movie style, powder my face up in the works.
That sounds pretty cool.
And have the instructions to the game pop up intermittently and, text across the page and stuff like that. I thought people would really get a kick out of it and get a good giggle at my embarrassment. I'm not very camera friendly.
Oh, you're doing great. Don't sell yourself short. What can you tell me about the mini game?
Oh, okay. So the mini game does feel a bit more like Clue, in the sense that you are going to use the hotel map to sort of go through different rooms in the hotel to discover physical clues. The idea is the mini game is designed to be either a game that you can play while you're playing Ailing Away to sort of expand your character's experience as they're going through things, or you can play it independently as its own little thing on its own. The idea is it's going to be a subplot about a jealous doctor who would like to kill his way through his romantic partners.
Oh boy.
Yes. So the idea for that one is you were trying to stop a murder by collecting physical evidence in a physical place. And I think that one's going to be pretty fun. It's going to use the same sort of mechanics as Ailing Away in the sense that you're going to be using D10. In the version I've thrown together right now, there are no playing cards. I'm still playtesting it because it's been a little bit clunky, so it probably will stay that way without the playing cards so that it can stay relatively small. And that one's designed to fit just in a little A5 booklet. So people can print it at home if they like, because I think that one's probably staying to PDF. Floating Chair is doing my fulfillment. They probably don't want to have to ship anything else.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
I hope so. I think I like intrigue, and I think that this game does a really good job of raising a lot of questions and then giving you enough information to answer them.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it myself. Like, I just discovered solo games this ZineQuest. I had never really heard much about them. And I read about Ailing Away, and I was just like, oh, fun. And I had to back it, and I had to interview. So, what are some other games you have put out? We talked a little bit about this before we went on air, but
probably my most popular one is Hedge Witch. Hedge Witch is illustrated in a really cute vector simplistic style. It's another solo game played with playing cards and dice, but it's 2d6 instead of 2d10. I designed that game to be as accessible as possible. I mean, everybody's got 6-sided dice and playing cards in their house, right?
yep.
It's also written in a really fail forward kind of way. The idea is when you first start playing that game, everything goes wrong and there are a lot of challenges you can't handle. But as you get further into the game, things actually do get easier and your character gets access to more abilities. And by the end of it, you should probably feel really good about yourself. And I don't know why, but it was my first solo game that I released and people got really, really excited about it. And I'm really glad I wrote it. I also wrote Body to Die For, which is another solo game about being a transgender necromancer, trying to find a way to use their specific power set to realize their full potential.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. That one's currently in the quote unquote bare bones edition. I'm going through my whole catalog of games right now and updating all the layouts and making them brand new, fresh, and fancy. And once I do that, the prices for each game as I update it are going up.
As they should, with if you're putting in a lot of extra work and updating art and updating the material.
Sure. You know, it's a thing. But like, you know, if anybody does pick up Body to Die For, I know, but it's getting better. And then it'll be expensive, so buy it now.
Where can folks pick up your other games like Hedgewitch and Body to Die For?
If they're looking for digital copies, they can pick them up on itch. That's shoutingcrow.itch.io. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of my games, unless you shout at me at Twitter, and I'll find something else for you. I will say Hedgewitch will be carried by Ratty and Canty, probably in a couple of months, which is super, super exciting for me because they're just a wonderful little shop, and I'm just dying to put an order through with them in the next couple of weeks. They're carrying Roseville Beach or something like that really, really soon, and I'm just like waiting to cash out my card. But yeah, you should be able to get my stuff in the Ratty and Canty shop. And if you're looking for digital, you can get it right on my itch.
Awesome. Well, those were all the questions I have. Do you feel like we missed anything? Or is there anything else you'd like to touch on?
Oh, yeah, my last stretch goal. Because we do have 7
yes.
days. And this is the one that I'm secretly the most excited about. If for some absurd reason I do actually manage to hit 3,000 Canadian dollars, I would really like to have my game printed by Print Ninja in the lithographic offset method.
Yes.
Because it's period appropriate.
Right.
Wouldn't it be so cool?
It would be. I agree. So, folks, click that link down below, back Justin's project, and let's get it up to 3,000 Canadian dollars so we can get offset printing.
It'd be so, so good.
It would
and it's
be.
going to be, I've put so much work into the art for this thing. So I insist on working with vectors because I hate myself or something. I don't know. Because they're so crisp on the page, you know? But I think it would just look so good in those bold, beautiful prints. And I think it would be just like a work of art at that point that we could all hold in our hands and look at it and be like, holy crap, look at this thing, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. So what are some other games that you're playing right now? Or what are some games that you're playing right now that have you kind of excited for?
On the solo front, Alfred Valley's Thousand Empty Light comes to mind. Very, very few games give me those like really good horror chills quite like it does. And it's a solo game, so that's saying something. It's this spooky sort of idea where you're like plunging deeper and deeper into the darkness and you are the light bringer. And it's scary as hell. You gotta try it.
Yeah,
100%.
it sounds like I've got to try it because I love horror. So
Alfred Valley is the same person who made Lay on Hands, which is a game you play by spinning a coin.
That sounds
Yeah,
pretty
check it out
cool.
because it's a weird mechanic and it's really, really cool. I think Alfred is doing some amazing things when it comes to game design, and I aspire to be them. Um, on the indie like multiplayer game front, I'm running I'm test playing like Fallout, but with the serial numbers scraped off. Uh,
Oh,
with my
cool.
girlfriend right now. Uh, the idea is that it's like a Canadian Western.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. Uh, that's Psychic Undead Moose Riders. You'll hear more about that. I think I'll probably reach out to you specifically when that one's done because that
Yeah,
one's
I
going to be
can't
really
wait.
cool.
Psychic Undead Moose Riders. That sounds awesome. The title alone has me sold. So, oh,
It's gonna be fun. Gosh, what else am I playing right now? Zemo's like absolutely like crunch hour, it absolutely crushes you. But you get so busy with stuff.
I know exactly what you mean.
Oh, I'm playing Lancer right now. Oh my god. Uh Shout out to Zeke Mystique for running maybe the best silly game of Lancer I've ever seen. Lancer, I don't know if you know, is a really tactical combat game with where you fight with giant robots.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I have never
yeah,
heard of it, but giant robot sounds awesome. It makes me think of Robot Wars or something going on.
yeah. Like you're mechs, right? You're running around like it's Gundam O'Clock.
Nice.
Um, yeah. But that game's been amazing. Zeke, you're brilliant for letting us play ping pong instead of fighting with robots. Thank you. Um, But yeah, you should absolutely check out Thousand Empty Light. You should absolutely check out Lancer. They're both phenomenal games, and I don't know what you're doing if you're not playing those.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send me those titles because I'm gonna forget as soon as we
We get
stop
off the
talking. Yeah, I'll be
yeah,
like
no problem.
boop, and it'll be the brain purge at the end of the night. So you'll definitely have to send me those titles so I can check them out.
Gladly, I'm always happy to sort of shout about the things that I love.
Me too. So yeah, well, that was all I had. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I had a blast talking with you. And folks, if you want to play an awesome solo whodunit, like I said, click down below on the crowdfunder link, back Justin's product, make him happy, and let's get him to the $3,000 stretch goal so we can get that print. And if you enjoyed this interview, which I certainly hope you did, click the like button, subscribe, and all that jazz. I do a horrible job of self-promoting. But yeah, give it a like, back Justin's project, and have a great night, folks. Thanks for coming out.